Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Our second speaker is Danny.
All right.
My name's Danny. I'm an addict alcoholic.
Hi, Danny.
And I really don't know anything. You know, I was all night. I've been trying to figure out something like really profound to say, and I came up with some stuff. But then, you know, I'd share it like with one person, and they'd look at me like I was weird. You know, so, you know, I don't know. I've been hanging around these meetings for a while, and the secret that I've found is keeping it as simple as possible. You know, just as simple as possible. But see, that is almost an impossibility for a complicated alcoholic. You know, we'll screw up a ball bearing. You know, now a ball bearing is a round piece of steel. But if you give it to us for one day, you know, we'll screw it up. Some kind of way, we'll hand it back to you screwed up, you know. And, you know, it's like, I remember somebody handed me a stone one time, a long time ago. They said, here, you know, when you're upset, rub this stone, you know. And I guess they had done it for a long time because it had like a little thumb groove in it, you know. It took me about 10 minutes to break it, you know. Pop, later for that stone, you know, didn't work, or I threw it at somebody, you know. But it just, you know, we're complicated, you know. I love this friend of mine, Johnny Harris, I mean, the way he says, see, because we all talk about how the keen mind of the alcoholic, you know, the keen mind of the alcoholic. Now, the only ones that talk about the keen mind of the alcoholic are alcoholics. You know what I mean? Normal people do not talk about the keen mind of the alcoholic. You know, the keen mind threw up in the shoes again. You know, they don't. You know what I mean? I mean, we're not like that brilliant. I hate to pop anybody's bubble, but Alcoholics Anonymous is for sick folks. You know, that's what we're doing here. If I was not a sick person, I would not need Alcoholics Anonymous. Please, you know, this is like my own opinion totally, you know, because I know some of you are really brilliant. You know, I'm already getting some dirty looks like, huh, he's not talking about me. Bullshit, yeah, I am. You know, I mean, because if I could have one drink, I would have one. But you know what? Honest to God, in the 21 years that I've been clean and sober, I have never thought about having one drink. It sounds stupid. To me, one drink still sounds stupid. What would one drink do? That's like taking one pill. You know, and you know, I mean, you know, if I'm wrong, aspirins, we got to be careful with aspirins because it's like, say, Excedrin PM, very strong, take 2. We got to kick that third one in there. Yeah, take 3. Yeah. You know, I mean, because it's like, you know what, we're alcoholics, you know, we're addicts. I mean. So, you know, like I got to say this. It didn't take me, when I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous for the first time in 1968, well, that's a lie. When I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous, like the first time in 1965, it didn't take, no, wait, that's a lie. When I walked into Alcoholics Anonymous for the first time in 1963, it didn't take me too long to figure out, wait, that's a lie, too. Gut level honesty, I love that. Gut level honesty, down deep. I walked into my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in 1959, and I got here totally by mistake. So if you're here by mistake, believe me, I understand. If the judge got like your papers mixed up with somebody else's and sent you to AA and you don't belong here, believe me, I understand. Because like one Friday night, all I was doing was cruising around with about 20 of my partners, a carload, and and we were looking for parties to crash, and right on the corner of Van Nuys Boulevard and Lev Street in 1959, we found 40 cars out in front of this house, this big house, Figured there was something going on in that house, And so, we proceeded to crash a party. We kicked in the front door, and the first thing we saw was a big sign that said, "We care." We had just crashed a Friday night speakers meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, the We Care group, So I got here by mistake, and that was my introduction to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that was in 59. In 1963, I was walking back into, in 1965, because in 63, I started going to meetings in the joint. But in 1965, when I got out of the joint, I walked back into that same meeting. And I said, you're not going to believe this, but I've been here before. And I started telling them about, I crashed a party, and there was two people, they were both 108 years old. They remembered. Oh, yeah, we remember you guys, We were waiting for you, Maybe the fact that I walked in carrying a case of beer, 3 bottles of wine, a half pint of whiskey, and I was already loaded on Red Devils might have gave them a hint that I'll be back. But, I coming into Alcoholics Anonymous, I bounced in and out. I, get 30 days and learn everything. Because I got to tell you this, it does not take that long to learn everything there is to learn in Alcoholics Anonymous, especially if we're dealing with the keen alcoholic mind. Oh, okay, don't drink. That's it. Hey, I got a partner that needs this, and we go find our partner, and we're drunk. And the connection will need this, and we go find out the connection, and we're loaded. But or they say get phone numbers, and we look over the room, and somebody's like this. Give me your phone number. Or we look across the room and there stands the love of our life. God, there she is. We're both loaded. But it's like, so it didn't, it's like I bounced in. In 1968, I was in the penitentiary. I was finishing up 5 years. And I started going back to AA meetings. And I knew it was all over. You understand? I knew, it's like I conceded to my innermost self that I was alcoholic, I was an addict, and my life was unmanageable. And believe me, I'm sitting in the state penitentiary, I'm walking around the big yard, and I'm having trouble saying my life is unmanageable. Now, I'm wearing all blue that they gave me. I'm walking around. I got the big book right here, and another guy, Rudy Figueroa. I can break his hand because he's dead. He's got shot in a robbery. And I'm sitting here and I'm talking to him. I said, my life isn't unmanageable. I mean, I got things pretty together here. And actually, by right, I did. I was making a lot of money in the joint. I was doing a lot of just illegal stuff, and I was making a lot of money. And compared to that economy. And so Rudy says, wait a minute, something's wrong. We're not managing. And we both happen to look up, and in Soledad there's this big gun tower. He says, that's managing. And I got the book. I said, you might be right. See? And so it's like I've never, ever managed, you see. And it was funny, I had a hard time identifying in Alcoholics Anonymous when I first got here. All times, see. Because every time I got here, people would get up to this podium and talk about everything they had, everything they lost. And here's some people, they're 4 days older than dirt, and they're talking about, I drank for 50 years. Now, if you're 20, you think, damn, I got 30 to go. See? I had a car, a boat, a cabin in Mammoth. I had an Irish setter dog. I hate Irish setters. My business was thriving. And I was drinking scotch. And from scotch, I went to bourbon. I think that's a step down. I don't know. And I lost my business. And the dog bit me. My children left, and my wife was divorcing me. And from bourbon, I went to beer. And I found myself losing all my material wealth. And I ended up drinking wine. And everybody, oh, wine? Swallowed a fly? Oh my, no. But I mean, it was like, wine. And then somebody else would get up and they would play, Can You Top This? They'd get up. They'd get up and they'd say, I drank for 55 years. Shit. Got 35 to go. See? I had 2 cars, 2 boats, 2 cabins in Mammoth. I had an Irish setter dog and a Whammer-Rammer. And I was drinking scotch. And from scotch I went to bourbon. And from bourbon I went to beer. I lost all my material wealth. And I ended up drinking wine in the morning. And, oh, my God. Like that was really the pits. And here comes, Can You Top This? I drank for 60 years. I had 2 cars, 2 boats, 2 cabins in Mammoth, 1 in Arrowhead. Irish setter dog, a Whammer-Rammer, and another good one. I don't know another good one. And I was drinking scotch, and from scotch I went to bourbon, and from bourbon I went to beer. I lost all my material wealth, and I ended up drinking wine in the morning in an alley. And I said to her, I said, I started drinking wine in the morning in an alley. See, because I'm going to tell you right now, and I'll tell it to anybody's face, is that nobody can drink alcoholically for 50 years. See? It says it right in their book. See? Some of us drink over a long period of time, then we cross the line into alcoholism. Now, every time they said, cross the line, I'd look around, what line? See? What are they talking about? I thought you said, big red line. Oh, there, okay, now. See, because some of us started on the other side of that line. If you started drinking when you were 11, 12, 13 years old, you already started drinking alcoholically. If you had an 11-year-old kid, those 20 questions, he will fail. See? He will be enough. Did you steal? Yeah, I stole it from my dad. Did it mess up your job? Well, school. Does it help your relationship? Well, Mom beats the shit out of me. So they're going to fail, you see? So we started drinking alcoholic. I started from day one. I didn't drink. This is a great month, May. Yeah, I didn't drink. We stole 3 bottles of Thunderbird out of a liquor store and sucked them down, and got drunk, and found out wow, this shit works. See? Well, what did it do? I don't know. It did it. I didn't, I don't know. Made me throw up. It was cool. And all of a sudden, and it's like, people say, well, like, what problems did you have? Well, I don't know. I didn't know. I mean, my uncle turned me on to grass when I was 8 years old. I didn't have too many problems. If I did have any inadequacies, we took care of them. He gave me a fix when I was about 12, and I didn't fix because I felt inadequate. I fixed because he was doing it. I just know, bam, when he let that thing go, wow. Oh, I found it. And what'd you find? I don't know, you see. And then on the way to junior high school, when we sold him 3 bottles of booze, and I sucked one down, it was like, oh. See, because like all up until that time, I had this war going on. I was raised kind of funny. I was raised with all girls. When I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, I was raised with my grandmother, 5 aunts, and about 5 girl cousins. On the right, on the house on the right, there was 5 more girls. On the house behind us, there was 4 girls and me. See? So our gang consisted of mainly female and me. So I did pee-pee sitting down till I was about 7. I didn't want to be the only one standing up. So, that's kind of a weird way to grow up. All these women all around me all the time, and then all of a sudden, when I was like 7 and a half, going to be 8 years old, I get transferred. I move in with my grandfather, my dad's 5 brothers. Now shit changed real quick. Found out little boys don't do pee-pee sitting down. Found out little puppies are no longer cute. Found out men don't like cats. I don't know why. I still don't know why. I don't like cats. Why? I don't know. Generations of cat haters. And then I managed an apartment building today, and I got to tell them, yeah, you can just have a cat. Stinky sons of bitches. Yeah, but it's like that's the rules. But I come from a long line and my uncles, my dad, they were vicious men. I mean, men. Even the dogs changed. That's the funny part. Even the dogs around the house changed because my grandmother had a pomegranate. One of them one of them can jump on the bed dogs. One of those kind that's inside out. And around my grandfather's, we had a German Shepherd, a Dobie, and a boxer. Butch, Bazoo, and Prince. And they were vicious dogs. You know what I mean? God, they always had them red tags for biting somebody. They were just animals, and here I come, coming out of this situation where I've been doing pee-pee sitting down, and these guys are going out Friday night and coming home, and with 11 stitches over one eye, and shot and stabbed, and yeah, we fought a bar and kicked their ass. God, and I'm 8, I'm going to be 8 years old, and it's like I became 2 people, a grandma. I'm this little baby sitting down. I'm this little kid doing pee-pee sitting down. It was kind of like John Wayne on the outside and Shirley Temple on the inside. It's a hell of a war. You know what I mean? There's a hell of a war going on because I can remember like these fights that would break out in our living room between my uncles, and inside but outside, get him, and it was kind of a weird situation, and it was funny. It's like when I found alcohol, finally, because alcohol was something that I could understand. Do you understand? Weed, I couldn't understand weed. I smoked all kinds, and I just got buzzed, just laughed and giggled. And when my uncle gave me that fix, it's like, there was nothing to understand. I was gone, it's all. But when I drank, and I wasn't like a big guy when I was in junior high school, and the big thing in our school, we lived in Pacoima, and our big thing was fighting San Fernando. And for some reason, the guys from San Fernando, they all looked so much bigger. But I can remember distinctly that day, sucking down that wine and going to school, and we each had our spots. You know, the Pacoima gang was here and the San Fernando gang was here. And I grew up so much with this Thunderbird, changed it to Super Chicken, that I decided I wanted their spot, you know. And I looked so insane walking over to them, and so insane screaming at them, and so insane yelling about what I just finished doing to their mothers that they moved. They just thought, this guy's nuts. Moved. And yeah, and I had a love affair with any kind of wine. Now, I have never, it was funny, this guy that I sponsored, he kept telling me, that he wasn't an alcoholic, He said that he had never drank wine without a cork. Now, I didn't even know what he meant. I was sort of, because I, just break them, crack them open and suck them down. What are you talking about? I don't understand what you're saying. But he said, I have never had, I'm the kind of person that I will go to order a Chablis. And I used to say, yeah, well, that's when you put like Kool-Aid and Thunderbird. That's a nice Chablis, suck it down. But throughout his inventory stuff, it's like, he's an alcoholic too, and he admits today that he's an alcoholic. See, because the disease is, and I love it, because I was here when Alcoholics Anonymous was angry at the addicts, and now the addicts are like angry at It's funny, man. But see, because I know I got into Alcoholics Anonymous, and I knew I didn't like any of you. You understand? I did not like or identify with anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous. There was one guy, a guy named Frank Russo, that I was in the pen with in 1963, 4, and 5, and he got out, and then when I got out, he was still going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and he started taking me. See, I took the 30-day crash dive course in Alcoholics Anonymous that they have here, and you can learn everything in 29 days, graduate, and go directly to San Quentin, and that's what I did. I took the 30-day crash dive course. I learned everything there was to learn about Alcoholics Anonymous. I decided I'm an addict. And what made me decide that is I seen somebody 112 years old get up and say,
when you want what we have.
I tried. I looked at the guy's wife. There's nothing. You got nothing I want, buddy. I got more money than you in my pocket. Nothing. You got nothing. And it's like, that's when I decided I was an addict. I'm not an alcoholic. And I hate to say this, my sponsor, then he was just my friend, but told me, well, maybe you're going to have to try to drink again, Dan. And that night, 1965, I left the meeting, and I went to a bar to shoot pool. And I was sitting there by myself. I ordered a Coke, and I was shooting pool. And this young lady, come up to hustle me for a drink. She just, hi, about 70 years old. But hey, we can get so cool in bars. I mean, we can say, hey, you want to play some pool? And I don't know. I'll show you. And naturally, gentlemen, I'm going to order a beer. I give her a beer. And the bartender, in order, I think not to embarrass me, went, do you want another Coke? No, give me a beer. And I can remember drinking. I can remember drinking that one beer. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I didn't immediately want more. All I can remember is that she got away. I don't know how she slipped out. And it was like 10 to 2, and I was ordering a 6-pack. I said, give me a 6-pack, and I'm going to walk back to the halfway house. And I was carrying this 6-pack of beer back to the halfway house. And I met a friend, and 40 days later, I was catching a train back to San Quentin. Because all that did was set up a chain of events, see? And the thing is, alcoholic takes a drink, we can no longer guarantee our actions. That's all. That's all. See? And one drink to this day, like I said, I don't want one. I love it when somebody says, you got 21, in 21 years, you haven't wanted one beer? I think, why? Why one beer? I mean, they sell them in 6-packs. You know. See? I'm an alcoholic. I'm an addict. Start. One is never. I don't know. Maybe we got some people here that could, like, drink a beer. You know. I could never do one of nothing. Period. Ever. I did all I could, whatever was there. You know, I went to every penitentiary in the state directly behind alcohol and drugs. I've never been arrested for any other thing other than drug or alcohol related. I've got 7 assaults on officers, on policemen, and every guy is so tough. I was whipped. I don't know how they could call it assault. You know, 9 officers kicking the shit out of you. You know, you end up with an assault. You know, and but you know, everything has always been drug and alcohol related. I used to do armed robberies. That was my career. I was an armed robber, and it wasn't because. It was because I was supporting a drug habit. You know, I mean, it's like people just, I think I'll be an armed robber. And, you know, I have a career today. Everything that's happened to me since 1968, I owe directly to Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, people say that AA is not an employment agency, yet I've never gotten a job other than through Alcoholics Anonymous in 21 years. People say that Alcoholics Anonymous is not a dating service. I've never. You know, everybody I've ever gone out with is an Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, normal people, yeah, make me kind of icky, really. You know. I mean, I've been out with a few girls that drink and stuff, and you sit there and you're watching them, you know. Are you gonna drink that? Yeah. Well, go ahead. And come on, bitch, the ice is melting, man. Get that shit down. Bring another one, you know. They do not drink like I drink, you know. I don't know how anybody drinks. I'm the kind of person that I used to drink like a Roman. I'd drink and then I'd go out back and throw up and then come back in, you know. And that can be, once you've learned a little bit of Alcoholics Anonymous, I'm going to tell you something. There is no feeling worse in the world than a body full of alcohol and a mind full of Alcoholics Anonymous. You know, God! Man. 4 o'clock in the morning, you're bouncing off the curb and you see an Easy Does It sticker. 1:30 in the morning, you're behind a bar throwing up. Blah, blah, blah. And somebody walks by and says, hey, Easy Does It. Kills you, you know. So, I mean, that's like, there's nothing out there, man. Everything that has happened to me is a direct result of Alcoholics Anonymous since I've been clean and sober. And all I do, I feel guilty saying I started a career because I didn't even do that. See, all I've ever done in Alcoholics Anonymous is hang out with somebody that wants to stay clean and sober. That's all. That's all I do. If you ask me, well, what about the steps? I'll say, well, I'll read the book. See? But what? Yeah, well, let's go through this shit, man. We'll find something together, buddy. And it's all there, you see. And I sure as piss can't explain it better than that book does. And but if you feel like using or feel like drinking and you call me up, I'll tell you, come on over. You know, hang out on the beach. And I spoke at a Cocaine's Anonymous meeting. And my sponsor, you know, anytime I would have a problem, he would always say, okay, Danny, I'll listen to it, but first go down to the General Hospital and talk to one drunk. And I would go from North Hollywood all the way and talk to one drunk. And when I would come out of that hospital, I would forget my problem. You understand? I just finished talking to a guy that's got tubes, you know, everywhere. This guy's got tubes sucking out doo-doo in his ears. I mean, this guy's dying of alcoholism. Everybody in the General Hospital knows he's dying of alcoholism, you see. But him, you know, 'cause How you doing? Okay. Got a cigarette? Yeah. Keep the pack, Holmes. think you got a problem with booze? No way. Shit. Here's my number, man. You know, when you get out of here, give me a call. And I'd be going back to the valley going, you know, what was my problem? I forgot. Totally, completely forgot it. 2 days later, I'd see my spouse. What do you want me to talk about? I don't know. You know, forgot, man. And that's all I've ever done is just hang out, you know, people. I spoke at a Cocaine's Anonymous meeting. Let me tell you about this career. I spoke at a Cocaine's Anonymous meeting. And after I was finished talking, this kid came up, you know, Biff. I don't even know. I didn't know who he was. I have no idea. He came up, and he's, golly gee, Danny, can I have your phone number? And I almost said no. I got nothing in common with this dude. This dude did not have a tattoo on his body. Nothing. Our paths would have never crossed. You understand? Anywhere. Our paths would have never, ever crossed. This kid came from a, not, you know, like, way upper middle class family, good kid, good, totally. If he would have went to the penitentiary with me, his name would have been Denise. I mean, nothing. Me and this kid got nothing in common. And he says, you know, can I have your phone number? But then again, see, Alcoholics Anonymous takes over. I say, yeah, here, man. I almost said, don't call me. Yeah. But I gave him my phone number. About 3 months later, about 11:30 at night, this guy calls, you know. Golly gee, Dan, it's me. I said, yeah, I know. I feel like using, you know, I what? I feel like doing blow. I almost told this kid, look, why don't you shoot some heroin? get a little funky, and we'll be all right. But of course, Alcoholics Anonymous. All I could tell him was, why don't you come on over, man? You know, it's about 11 o'clock at night, 11:30 at night, watching, you know, news and stuff. And he says, I can't. I'm working. Can you come down to my job? You know. And I said, will your boss get mad? And he says, no, it's okay. Come on down. So I go down to where he's working. You know, gave me the address. It's a movie set. This guy was an extra. You know. And I says, yeah, come on. We'll just stand here. We'll hang out right here, pal. You know, just don't talk to me. Okay? I'm going to grab you and put a tattoo on you, man. Just shut up, you know. But we're talking, you know, and this guy comes up and says, hey, do you want to be in this movie? And I says, what I got to do? He says, you can be an extra. I says, extra what? You know? He says, can you act like a convict? Yeah, shit, yeah. You know, they're going to give me $50, you know, $50, you know. Sure, but make sure me and this guy stand together, all right? This is my cell partner. He's all right, cool. You know. And this other guy keeps staring at me. You know, he's mad dogging me. And I've grown a lot in Alcoholics Anonymous because before, when people would stare at me, I would say something like real, you know, with the alcoholic cunning mind, you know. If you're looking for your mother, I'm done with her. She's back there. Go pick her up, pal. You know. But I didn't because, again, you know, I've grown in Alcoholics Anonymous. The cunning mind slowed down. So I went over to this guy and I said, wait, do I know you or what? You know, and he says, is your name Danny? And I said, yeah. He says, you know what, I saw you win the lightweight and the welterweight title up in San Quentin in 1966. And I said, yeah, you know, I fought, and we started talking about who's who in the zoo and blah, blah. This guy was the writer of this movie. And he said, do you want a part in this movie? I said, I got one. I showed him my voucher for $50, you know. Grabbed him. He says, no, I mean a real part. You know, I said, yeah, let go of the 50, Holmes, you know what I mean? And he says, you know what? He says, you know what? They need a fighter, and they need somebody to train Eric Roberts. And can you do it? I said, yeah, shit, yeah, you know. And then he told me what they were going to pay me. You know, I said, hey, donate that somewhere. I'm in the movie industry. I have not stopped working since. You know, I've done a bunch of movies. I always play a bad guy, which is okay. It's really easy, you know. And lines are really simple to remember. Give me the money now. But but again, it's like, it's funny. It's like just all I was doing, what I've been doing for the past 21 years. Same thing. Come on over. Let's hang out. No words of wisdom. None. None. I got none for you, man. See? There isn't anybody in Alcoholics Anonymous that's got any words of wisdom. See? All we can do is hang out together. You know, I don't know what you do during your life. I don't care. To tell you the truth. See? I don't care what you do. I don't care who you do it with. I don't care how many people were involved. I don't care if there was pets there or not. To tell you the truth. It doesn't matter to me. I just want you to stay clean and sober. Because the bottom line to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and the only one mistake that we can make, is to drink. That's the only thing. That's the only thing we can do. The mistake of Alcoholics Anonymous is drinking. Now, I've gone through marriages, I've gone through divorce, I've gone through marriages, I've gone through divorce, I've gone through death, I've gone through pain, all that stuff, man. I had to take my son, who was 7 years old, and take him up to live with his mom. Now, I raised him. I had him since he was 14 months old, you see. And the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, you know. And my ex-wife was asking me, you know, hey, when can I have him? You know, when can I have when can I get Danny? When can I get Danny? And I would constantly bitch, you left him, screw you, I'll kill you first, all that stuff, you see. All that stuff that's the way I react, you know. And she had asked me about a couple of months ago, and I said, hey, you're forgetting, you left him. You shot drugs, screw you. And point blank, she says, Dan, wait a minute, now you've been singing that song long enough. You know, I got 2.5 years clean, I've been doing good, and you know, and I said, yeah, well, screw you. And then I came back, thought about it. I asked my son. I said, what do you think about your mom? And she's all right. Gonna stay with her a while? He looked me dead in the eyes, and said, Dad, the last thing in the world I want to do is hurt your feelings. That's my 7-year-old. Imagine what this program has done, man. To let a 7-year-old, see, because he's going around here all the time, let a 7-year-old be able to look his dad right in the eyes and say, Dad, the last thing in the world I want to do is hurt your feelings. I says, punk, you can't hurt Mom. What are you talking about, man? You're my road dog, man. You're my pal. You can't, I want to do whatever you want to do. What's going through my mind is I'll kill the bitch and just tell him, I'm sorry you don't have a mom. But I take my son up to Lone Park. Hardest thing I've done in my life. Drove all the way back, screaming at God and yelling. God, man, he's come down to visit me. He loves it up there. Totally just loves it. God, that's so good. It's great. But I got to say, man, God knows what he's doing. See? And I swore to God I would never, ever, I'll kill her before I let her. She's doing great. See? God knows, man. It's all under control. If you're new, all I can suggest you do is go to a lot of meetings. Associate with people that seem to be enjoying themselves. You know, it's that simple. I mean, if I'm on a bummer and I'm with 5 people that are on bummers, it's going to be a bummer. It's real simple, you see. But if I'm on a bummer and my partners are, come on, man, let's go fishing. That's what they do. Every time I get on a bummer, they take me fishing, you know. Or we go do something. Let's go disrupt the meeting, something. Because no, I'm going to tell you right now, I am not one of the people. In fact, you can go home and tell your sponsor that you met somebody that admits I am not striving for quality sobriety. I'm striving for quantity. And I admit that wholeheartedly. I want 45 years of sobriety. I don't care where I get it. I don't care if you give me my cake in Tascadero or Vacaville or Camarillo. And for 45 years, the guy's sticking the cake in his nose. Come here, Dan. I'm sober. I don't care, see. Doesn't matter, see. Because as long as I don't take a drink, fix, pill, or smoke any of that non-habit-forming gangster grass, my life will keep getting progressively better. And that's what they told me when I got here. They said, Danny, if you don't use or drink, your life will get progressively better. Today, my life is a dream. And I mean that. My life is a dream. I do anything I want. And I don't know if anybody can. I know that if I was new, I could never comprehend that. I remember when the most important thing in my life was getting a driver's license. The heaviest thing, getting a driver's license. And I had to go talk to a cop and some kind of board to get a stinking driver's license, because my driver's license privileges has been revoked in the state of California henceforth. I remember that in red, henceforth. Because I used a car in a commission of a felony numerous times. So the biggest thing in my life was getting up to trying to keep it. Yeah. If you're new, please just go to a lot of meetings, man. Go to a lot of meetings. Get around some people that you can stand for more than 20 minutes and hang on to them. Man. Call them. Call them. And some people, it's funny, man, some people, it's like me, Alcoholics Anonymous is my way of life. It is no longer medicine. And I watch people take Alcoholics Anonymous like medicine. Gotta go to one of their meetings. I love these meetings. Gotta read, I love that book. Gotta pray. God, I love to pray. See? My biggest prayer to this day, and I wish I could get something real heavy, but 21 years of sobriety, my biggest prayer is still, God in all his wisdom didn't make me too wise. So if I do something stupid, it won't take him by surprise. God bless you. Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.